powerful, effective, valuable, competitive, strategic, and that you can use it to make more money for yourselves.
Price tag's still on there.
Oh my God!
And the name brand of the shirt.
Welcome to a new episode of Fish Factor. Today's catch, I'm going to be going through what I learned to be the fundamental strategy for doubling your income or becoming rich in the fourth industrial revolution, which is based on this book. You can check it out at aji.com. You can also look it up on Amazon. Highly recommend it. I've studied this in this business course since 2001, and I would attribute all the success that I've had and the things I've been able to do with San Pedro Fish Market from that book. And it's what the book outlines is a 12-part fundamental strategy for success, which is outlined here. Aji's been around for over 30 years, I believe. They've helped thousands and thousands of people build their business, build their identity, build their personal income, and retire and have a good life. And it's all based on these 12 parts that are outlined on this, which is called a sketch map. Now, this was created, first I would say, what I learned from Toby Hecht is one of my greatest mentors, and he's made a huge impact and really changed my life. But what he teaches can take a long time to learn. Now, my friend Eric McDermott created this, which is about 1,200 pages from Toby's teachings into what he calls a sketch map. So who's Eric McDermott? Eric McDermott's been a friend of mine for over 10 years. He's extremely accomplished, certified financial planner with Pacific Advisors. He's also written multiple bestsellers, which you can find on Amazon by searching his name, Eric McDermott. We'll put a link here when we publish. He is also an influencer. If you follow him on TikTok, he has over 500,000 followers on TikTok creating these and as a form of business education. Incredible stuff. He's also has multiple TED Talks that you can search for and find. So Eric has just done an amazing job, and his background in marketing and being able to take complex thousands of pages of information and simplify it into something like this. I don't know anybody else that can do that. If you sit next to him at a conference and watch him take notes, this is what they look like. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take what Eric created from the book I just showed you by Toby, and I'm going to explain very quickly how it works and how I use it in our business. By the way, I've used this to produce double-digit growth in our business for about 14 years. Even in the pandemic, we used this to do pretty well, despite the fact that restaurants were suffering. And then after we had to get displaced as a result of redeveloping the waterfront, this is one of the things that helped us to stay not only open, but to thrive and survive in one of the most challenging, it's been probably the most challenging decades between, pandemic and displacement. The fundamentals here are what really kept us as a business going, whether even the people who work for me realize it or not. This is how I think, this is how I design and invent and innovate. So what is it? Well, this is number one. The first part's called your ambition. You figure out what lifestyle am I after, what's it going to cost, and what career or business do I need to start in order to do it. Then you have philosophies. You formulate your philosophies of care and competition or power. And philosophies are ultimately what's the truth if you bake everything else out. Take everything out. Fundamentally, what's true. And you make sure does the ambition I'm after, my lifestyle, financial, and career business ambitions, do they work with these philosophies? Then you have to make a determination of knowledge and capability, meaning what's my knowledge gap? So now I know what I want my life to look at, and it takes care of the things that matter to me, which my philosophy helps me to design. What knowledge do I need? Do I have to learn something? Do I have to buy new books, take new classes? Can I hire people that have knowledge I don't have? There's a lot of different ways you can tackle that. Then you make sure that it takes care of your ethics. Ethics are practices, meaning do you show up early? Do you stay late? Do you work hard? Do you keep your word? Do you build trust all the time? Ethics are actually a way of building trust. Because if people don't know how to trust you, they don't know how to accept you as their leader or not, or follower. We all want to know how to trust somebody. So we figure out what's our ambition. Does it line up with the philosophies that matter? What knowledge do we need and capabilities to get it done? And what ethics do we have to have it? Do we need in order to produce that? Then you work through all this, which is, I'm not going to go into great detail, but this is where you really make your money. What offers, what practices, what stories, narratives, and what strategies. These first 5, you can do really well in your career and earn enough money to have a pretty decent life. But if you really want to get into the top 1% income earners, you got to get down here, which means you have to build your network, because this is kind of works if you're a lone ranger to an extent, but you're very limited. And what you'll find is the better you become at creating these new offers, new practices, new narratives, new strategies, the more your capacity diminishes, and the more you find, I don't have enough energy, enough time, enough money, and whatever to do this. So I got to build my network. I got to find help. And the more help you find, you can produce more autonomy, which is freedom from constraints, so that you can really go and think and design and kind of re-ambition all these things, revisit these things, revisit all the work that you did in the first 5 parts, because the network will free you up with autonomy. So then you get to number 8. Now that you got this autonomy and you have this great network, you can produce highly valued accomplishments. Not the plain old ones like tying your shoes an accomplishment, the kind of accomplishments that people will pay you money for, because that produces your identity of how you're trusted, how you're valued, granting you authority and becoming a leader, which brings you into these highly compensated leadership roles. That's where you can start to earn more money than the average person was, because you did all these other parts, and you get over to an 11. So now that you've figured out, I know what my ambition, what I'm after, it lines up with my philosophies. I've got the knowledge now that I need. My ethics are aligned. I'm making all these offers, practices, narrative strategies. People are coming into the business. People are watching Kings of Fish. People are buying our stuff online. Customers are lining up for 2 to 3 hours. I can't do this on my own. I got to make sure I have enough of a network to help me produce this, so I can still have the freedom and don't get sucked into all the tactical daily stuff, so I can produce more accomplishments, world records, most Instagrammed restaurant in the country, or at least in the top 10. These are all accomplishments we did because I had the autonomy, the network, the offers, practice, narratives, and strategies, the solid ethics, the knowledge that I needed, lined up with my philosophy to get my ambition. So next, you get to part 11. Now with all that help, you can build more powerful organizations. You can produce a media company, you can produce a CPG company, you can open new locations, and you can produce a team to help you do all that. And with all that help, you can anticipate future situations and competition, demographics, politics, technology, you name it, right? Economics, those kind of the fundamental forces. And anytime things aren't working, you go, maybe I didn't anticipate the future properly. What threats, opportunities, obligations did I miss in competition and economics and politics and demographics and technology? My organization's not as strong as I thought it needed to be. Maybe people don't consider me a leader. Maybe I haven't produced trust, value, or authority and leadership as my identity. Maybe my accomplishments weren't as special as I thought they were because I didn't have enough autonomy and I didn't have the right network, and I get stuck back here. So you can reverse, like engineer what you're doing as a professional with these 12 parts and figure out something didn't work out the way I thought it was. Which of these 12 do I need to go back work on? Because it's like an algorithm and it goes in order and you can't skip over it. So that's how the AGI fundamental strategy works. And this is how my friend Eric took it, 1,200 pages, and put it into one design, which you can find if you go to his, I go to his LinkedIn page. Again, we'll have links on there. Or you can go to his Nexpectations website, which again, we'll have links to all this, so you can click on, check him out, see what he's up to, watch his TED Talks, or you can go to the agi.com website and learn more about what they're offering there, which is mostly online based, extremely affordable for the return that you get, and I highly recommend it. Thank you, and I hope you guys found that to be powerful, effective, valuable, competitive, strategic, and that you can use it to make more money for yourselves.
Price tag's still on there. And the name brand of the shirt.